Hey there, everyone, and welcome into another episode of BreezeCast. I'm meteorologist Joe Farrell.
And I'm meteorologist Logan Schlautman. Can't you already believe it is June 30th as we head into tomorrow? It's already going to be July. And, it was a
I sure
pretty
can't.
warm end to June, and it's going to lead to a pretty warm start for July.
Oh my goodness, it's talk about a sweat fest in the upper Midwest right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's-
it's also getting, I think, the beginning of corn season, corn sweat season, too.
Yeah.
So starting to see that help aid in these dew points that we've been seeing.
I mean, when the dew point gets to 76, 77 in that range, that's miserable.
Unbearable.
It's miserable. Absolutely miserable. Yeah, so if you are anywhere in the upper Midwest, you know that it's not exactly a good time outside. So let's go ahead and get into the forecast and talk about everything. And we eventually will not have to deal with this kind of heat anymore. But Logan, it all started on Sunday.
Take me back to those 70s. I don't think we appreciated enough those calmer temperatures we had, because this week it has just been fiery outside. 90 on Sunday, 92 on Monday. I think we're going to be on pace to break Monday, potentially get up to 93. But it's just not the air temperature. It's just the humidity that we've been seeing here across the area. Those dew points, like Joe was mentioning earlier, getting up to 76, 77 degrees, getting heat indices up to 105 degrees across a lot of places. Heading into the past 2 days, it has just been hot outside. And you can probably tell, especially in the afternoon time when you walk outside, which is why it's important to get a lot of that work done. I would say getting into that morning, but also the later evening pattern. And this is why.
Yeah,
Joe, talk about this pattern here.
this is exactly why. So you have got an incredibly strong and a large area of high pressure labeled. Yeah, you can see it, the big blue H there, and the clockwise rotation around it. When you get this, it's called geopotential height. I was trying to think of a way to name it without it sounding super, I don't know, weird.
All I'll say is geopotential height. So that high pressure, there's the vertical. So think of the pressure. If you have two of the same pressure levels, let's say 500 millibars, under high pressure, it's going to be a lot higher compared to low pressure, where it's going to be lower. So you have that little slant in the surface there across the area.
And this is what has kind of caused it. And it's something that a lot of people are talking about, is the heat dome. And I mean, you can literally think of it like a dome, and it's just hot. It's just hot and humid. You get all of that humidity and that moisture coming up from the Gulf, and it just makes it miserable for us. The corn sweat doesn't do us any favors either when you start to talk about temperatures that get up into the low 90s. It's just hot. It's just humid. And you also get, you can also think of it like a dome that is almost closed off. You can get thunderstorms right outside of the heat dome and the high pressure ridge. And you can have storms that ride the kind of the very edge of the ridge. But as we get into kind of a late this week, eventually, Logan, for July 4th, that's when it looks like at least this extreme setup breaks down a little bit.
Yeah, I think temperatures, they're going to stay at least still into the low 90s, upper 80s. But one thing that's going to go away, hopefully, is going to be that humidity. The dry heat, we haven't had to experience it really just yet. But as you can take a look here at some of the heat indices, it's going to stay up there. I think next Monday, next Tuesday, I think the humidity percentage within our system there might just be a little too high, since it accounts for the morning time period. So that might be bumped up just a little bit too much, I will say. But especially Wednesday through Friday, we do have those weather impact alerts. So that's when we can see those temperatures and heat indices still be up into triple digits. But we do see a nice break, at least in the temperatures, heading into next week.
Oh, man. I mean, people in Florida talk about all the time. You'll hear them say, well, we don't get cold fronts, we get cool fronts. And we are going to be getting our own version of a cool front coming up this weekend. But like you said, Logan, that cold front, obviously, as you saw, is not going to make a massive difference in the actual air temperatures. It will give us a little bit of a reprieve from the extreme type of humidity that we've had so far this week and will continue to have throughout this week. And that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, Logan, we're running a little bit of a science experiment out, outside the studio today. It's not even a science experiment. It's just watching crayons melt in the heat.
And also making some cookies too.
Cookies too, yeah.
Just how hot it's in there.
Stay tuned for, because we're going to be talking about it and likely posting video about it. So this Logan, as we just take a look at the available water in the atmosphere, this is just a showcase of the type of moisture that's overhead the state of Iowa and most of the upper Midwest right now. I mean, you get into that kind of color contour on the far right side of the color banner, and that is so much moisture in the atmosphere.
Yeah, and what doesn't help is when we were talking about that heat dome earlier, how you saw how we were on the edge of that where we saw those tight contours together. So there's a lot of gusty winds. That jet stream is going right across that area, and it has been transporting a lot of that more Gulf air into the area, but also a lot of available moisture down into the south, and that's bringing it up here, which is not helping us in terms of the mugginess, which is why we have a lot of water in the atmosphere across the area.
It just doesn't move, man. Like it just doesn't go anywhere. Throughout this entire week. I mean, we just went through the rest of the week from the point of this recording. So, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's just going to remain this humid. That moisture is just really going to stick around. So we need a pretty serious pattern change and a pattern flip to kind of get out of this that we're currently in. And eventually, of course, we will. It's just going to take a while. But looking at FutureCast here, we mentioned heading into this. I know Chris talked about it. I know we all kind of discussed it. The ridge riders, the thunderstorms that ride along the edge of that ridge that I was just talking about a moment ago. This is kind of an example of that, Logan. And what we've seen so far is morning convection. We haven't seen too much, at least close to the state of Iowa, in the afternoon and evening with the heating of the day. It's been morning convection setups that we've had so far this week, or at least so far during this heat wave.
Yeah, that's just really been the bulk of it, especially over in South Dakota. 131 mile per hour gusts. I think that's going to be one of the highest recorded in the century so far. But starting off Wednesday, chances for some of those showers and thunderstorms. I think a lot of the rainfall that we're going to be seeing overhead the next couple of days, if we have it, it's mainly, I would say, going to be northern and specifically northwestern Iowa. Now, portions of southern Iowa and eastern Iowa, I'd say, are probably going to be in the clear throughout this time frame. Des Moines, you might get a shower or two, just depending on how the models look heading into the next couple of days. But Wednesday, another more partly cloudy day across the area with some chances for some showers. Also looking to head into Wednesday night into Thursday as well. And we do have a multitude of severe weather risks coming across the area. Taking a look at our SPC outlooks over the next 3 days for Tuesday, Wednesday, and also Thursday. We do have some slight risks coming across the area, and also an enhanced, but I mean, it's just a sliver in northwestern Iowa on Wednesday.
You almost have to squint a little bit to actually be able to see it. Yeah, that is, I mean, when you say sliver, that is quite literally a sliver. So this is just the ridge riding storms, and that's why you have the severe weather outlooks looking for very similar locations. And then as as it becomes not so much kind of straight out of the southwest, but a little bit more east-west, a little bit flatter atmospheric flow, that's when you start to see that severe risk shift a little bit and go a little bit farther south. But we do believe that we are going to be saying, in central Iowa specifically, mostly dry. I think it's going to be much tougher for us to end up, picking up on some of this rain. Eventually, we'll see chances for it increase. Unfortunately, it's on July 4th, but it's just looking very slim if we're talking rainfall during this week, just because of how strong that high pressure ridge in the heat dome is.
Yeah, we still see an increasing chance in those precipitation as we head into Saturday, but it looks like Sunday is going to be on the drier side. But I do think, at least what I've been checking earlier, Saturdays look to be more into that morning time frame. So
Okay.
hopefully shouldn't impact your late night plans or lighting off fireworks and stuff. Potentially could get into the afternoon, but I would say more in the morning time frame that I'm sure of.
Can you so imagine this with me here. And I know I'm pretty positive. I'm gonna have to ask Chris about this. I'm pretty sure it was pretty warm and humid for July 4th here last year. And the smoke that just sat in that dead humid air.
I would do. I'm trying to. I think last year, at least in Nebraska, it was a pretty nice 4th of July, and I can't complain. I'll have to look at the almanac.
Yeah. I'm gonna have
For
to
that,
I'm gonna have to check that out. But uh yeah, just the I know it's happened a couple of times. The fireworks smoke and the dead humid air just sits there and just sits at the surface. Um and just it's caught under all that warm air that's, not just at the surface but above it too. Now this is future rainfall. This is all the way through July 4th. You see how much of a focus, North Iowa, southern Minnesota, places like that, have as far as who's going to see the most rainfall.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, anything up north of that I-80 corridor, southern Iowa is going to be hard to get some rainfall across the area. You had a lot in May, you had a lot in the beginning of June, so this should be a nice break for your area. Places up in northwestern Iowa still are in a drought, but now this is something pretty interesting that we have here. So we have dust that's flying thousands of miles over from Africa, actually in the Sahara Desert. It's actually been working its way into the Iowa area and portions of the Great Lakes as well as we head into later tonight. So it's going to be your best chance to take out your phone for some pretty sunsets that should be across the Iowa area as we head into tonight and potentially over into Wednesday morning. That dust, it will be a little bit on the lesser side as we head into Wednesday morning, but it will move out of the area. So I'm not sure about a good sunset, but no, something pretty interesting that I don't think's talked about a lot is dust from Africa coming all the way
I
here
know.
to Iowa.
I know it in this I remember this happened a couple of times where that dust. There can be and can end up being a lot of it, and sometimes it can actually come. We have atmospheric conditions that kind of bring some of that down to the surface. There were a couple times in Missouri that we got rain while we had some of that Saharan dust overhead, and I remember going. My car parked outside, and the raindrops. It was like, it had like some of that dust around it. You could literally collect that and say you have like a little thing of Saharan dust from the Saharan desert.
Oh, there you go.
Comes all the way to the upper Midwest from the Saharan desert. It's just incredible. And this is typically the time of year that this kind of thing happens. And no, it's not talked about a lot. Something else that it does too is it suppresses hurricane development because that dust can get that plume very high in the atmosphere, can get pretty thick over the Atlantic Ocean. And when that happens, that keeps things very dry in the upper part of the atmosphere. And so hurricanes and tropical systems just have a hard time developing with that. It kind of zaps a little bit of that moisture in the atmosphere for them to work with. Even with the heating of the ocean, still need other conditions to help those develop. So Saharan dust, it is with us in some way, and it also suppresses hurricane development. But smoke is something as well because Logan, there's been a lot of fires going on in different states out west.
Yeah, I did see they issued a while back. They did issue a PDS fire warning or a fire watch. I think that's pretty rare for a particularly dangerous situation in terms of fire, but that's currently happening down into the Southwest right now. And that jet stream that we were talking about earlier, that's bringing in a lot of smoke into the Iowa and Nebraska area. Take a look Wednesday morning. We had some chances for some smoke in northern Iowa earlier this afternoon, but it's also going to come back as we head into Wednesday afternoon as well. So you could see some hazier skies, especially in northern Iowa, and also could lead to some pretty good sunsets and sunrises as well. But in terms of air quality, not really going to be taking it to another level. Right now, we are in a moderate air quality alert. So people that are, I'm trying to think of the term.
Elderly folks that
susceptible
more susceptible to having asthma issues or just a little bit a weaker overall lung and breathing system, those people tend to have
some issues with that. And it's also going to carry into
a little bit more
tomorrow with that
sensitive.
moderate risk. So air quality not going to be going down, going up too much for like the general population. Just people that are susceptible to it is what we're looking at for this. And taking a look at the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to be seeing temperatures
one of the
stable.
wider. Well, yesterday this actually would have been more. It would have been funny to look at because to see the longest weather impact alert banner that
I think that's
I've seen. I've seen since I began working here at Local 5, and I'll bring that 10-day up for everyone, full screen. Yeah, it's it's there's the cool front. It is crazy, but if we can still, here's the thing for me, we can still have the low 90s, upper 80s. That's totally fine. It's just as long as it comes with not as high of humidity, then it's not so unbearable. Of course, that makes total sense, but it's just one of those. It's just one of those things. I can't. I hate the humidity. I hate it. I can't stand it, Logan. I don't know about you, but it gets to the point where kind of like today is one of those days where we were outside just checking on the crayons, checking on the cookies in the car, and the humidity,
it's not good. Yeah.
I can't stop sweating.
At least you're wearing a polo. I'm wearing
I know.
button up, the whole long sleeve and pants.
I know.
And just doesn't help at all. That's why I wore shorts yesterday to the station. I was like, I don't want to deal with it.
I still haven't cooled down, like from us being out there. Now, yes, with the different cameras and my laptop and everything, it gets kind of warm in this room. But it just, the worst part too for me is the lack of relief that we get overnight. It just
that has not helped too. I will agree.
I was going home last night after the 10 o'clock newscast. It's 10:40 at night, and Des Moines had a heat index still of 96 at 10:40. And
sounds like something Iowa would do. All the crazy weather they have. We can have the cool temperatures about 30 degrees below zero, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, it's almost midnight. Let's stick around still into the mid 90s for your heat index.
Right, and if you take the coldest wind chill and hottest heat index, now that we're in this heat wave, in 2026 alone, if you live pretty much anywhere in the state of Iowa, anywhere between 135 and 145 degrees of difference between those two, that's what you've experienced. That's what we've all experienced.
That is pretty crazy.
You don't get that in a lot of parts of the world, not just of course the United States.
Yeah,
it's very very unique to this part of the country. Which is kind of, it's kind of cool, but I mean,
that jet stream
doesn't mean it's
what's one of the reasons why it's always happening.
Doesn't mean it's
jet stream too high, we get warmer temperatures. Jet stream comes too low, we get those cool Canadian temperatures.
Yeah, not always. Now, don't get me. It's fun to be unique. It's it's fun to have those crazy stats like that. It's not fun to live through it though. I will say that.
I will agree. If you want cool temperatures, head to the Pacific Northwest area, Seattle. I think they're chilling in the 60s right now.
That's chilling.
That's
big chilling.
I'll take that.
That's big chilling. That's big chilling. I wish we were big chilling. That'll wrap it up for this week's episode of BreezeCast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm meteorologist Joe Farrell.
And I'm meteorologist Logan Schlautman, and we'll catch you next week.